The morning that changed everything. The city was just waking up when Maya Reynolds stepped out of her small apartment, tugging her faded denim jacket tighter around her shoulders. Dawn had barely broken, and the air was sharp with early morning chill, the kind that slipped under clothing and stung her skin. She didn't have the luxury of slowing down to enjoy the sunrise. Her sneakers slapped the pavement as she hurried along the narrow sidewalk, weaving between commuters, bundled-up dog walkers, and the occasional jogger who clearly slept a lot better than she did. Maya checked her phone. 7:41 a.m. That meant she had exactly 19 minutes to get to the office Helios Technologies, where she had been working as a receptionist for the past 11 months. The job wasn't glamorous, barely paid the bills, and came with a supervisor who treated her like she was permanently one mistake away from being disposable. But it kept a roof over her and her 6-year-old daughter's heads, and that was enough. She shifted her canvas tote bag higher up her shoulder, feeling the uneven weight of the folders inside printouts her supervisor. Clara Benson had demanded she'd bring in early. "You're not like the others," Clara had once told her. "You don't have the luxury to be late." Maya had wanted to argue to say that she was always on time, often early, that she rarely even took lunch breaks because she couldn't afford them. But the truth was, Clara wasn't wrong about one thing. Maya didn't have the luxury for anything. Not with the rent, the electricity bill, her daughter Lily's asthma inhalers, and the rising cost of groceries that seemed to multiply every week. Every morning felt like a tightrope walk. One slip, and everything could fall apart. Her phone buzzed. She didn't want to look. She knew who it was. Mrs. Green, Lily's babysitter. Her stomach dropped. She opened the message anyway, running behind again, dear. Bus is delayed. I'll be there in 10 minutes. Maya stopped walking for half a beat, her breath catching. 10 minutes. She didn't have 10 minutes. She had barely enough time as it was. But she couldn't blame Mrs. Green. The sweet older woman was practically a grandmother to Lily, and often refused payment on the weeks Maya was short. Still, panic pricked at her skin like needles. She typed a quick response. "It's okay. The door is unlocked. Lily is watching her cartoons. Just come in when you arrive. Thank you." Her thumb hovered over the send button. Guilt burned in her chest. She hated leaving Lily alone even for a moment. But the apartment was tiny, and Lily was mature for her age. She'd be okay for 10 minutes. Maya hit send and walked faster, almost jogging now. 7:44 a.m.? Just need to get there, she repeated in her head, like a mantra she clung to on mornings like this. Just need to get through today. She turned the corner onto Lexington Avenue, the last major stretch before Helios came into view. Cars rushed by in hurried blurs, delivery trucks honked aggressively, and people passed each other without a glance. Maya tried to match their pace, ducking past 2 tourists who couldn't seem to decide which way they wanted to walk. She was halfway through the crosswalk when she heard it, a violent screech. Rubber burning against asphalt. A panicked shout. Then a sickening thud. Maya froze. Her heart stuttered. The sound came from behind her. She spun around. 20 feet away, a man lay sprawled on the sidewalk, his briefcase tossed across the pavement like a discarded toy. A dark blue electric scooter lay beside him, its rider speeding away without even glancing back. For a moment, Maya couldn't move. No, not today. Please, not today. But her legs carried her forward before her mind even caught up. She rushed to the man's side, her breath sharp in the cold morning air. "Sir? Sir, can you hear me?" she asked, kneeling beside him. The man groaned and shifted slightly. He was in his early 40s, maybe mid-40s, with sharply cut features and dark stubble shadowing his jaw. His soutane, expensive one, judging by the fabric, was smeared with dirt, and his left sleeve had a rip where the fall must have snagged the fabric. His briefcase lay open, its papers fluttering in the breeze. Maya's eyes widened when she spotted the unnatural angle of his right leg. "Oh my God," she breathed. "You're hurt. You need an ambulance." "No ambulance," the man said through clenched teeth, trying to sit up. Pain twisted his expression, his voice strained but oddly firm. "I just need to get to my meeting." I can't be late." Maya almost laughed because wasn't that just ironic? "Sir, You can't even stand, she said, gently pressing his shoulder when he tried again to lift himself. Your leg might be broken, he grimaced, but stubbornly pushed her hand away. I'll manage. No, you won't, she said, pulling out her phone. This isn't something you walk off. Don't call, he said, grabbing her wrist weakly. Please, I can't afford delays today. You can't afford a broken leg either, Maya shot back. Her voice trembled a little, not from fear, but from the pressure building inside her chest. Helping him meant she'd be late. And if she was late again, Clara would explode. I might lose my job. But she couldn't just leave him here. Not when dozens of people were passing by without stopping. She dialed 911 anyway. The man groaned, letting his head fall back against the wall of the building behind him. Wonderful, he muttered. Maya ignored the comment as she explained the situation to the dispatcher. When she hung up, she glanced at her phone screen. 7:52 a.m., her heart sank further. She reached for his scattered papers, trying to gather them quickly. As she did, she froze. The letterhead on several documents read, Aurelian Industries Executive Office, and the name printed in sharp serif letters, Julian Hartwell, Chief Executive Officer. Shay blinked. Shay looked at the man again. Surely not Julian. Hartwell was practically a myth at Helios and throughout the entire tech industry, a billionaire investor, known for turning small startups into global giants, a man whose decisions routinely made headlines, a man with a reputation for brilliance, ruthlessness, and privacy bordering on isolation. But the directory photo she remembered from an article was clean-cut. Suit perfect, smile sharp. This man, hair tousled, face tense with pain, eyes stormy gray. He looked different. But the eyes were exactly the same. Maya's voice caught. You're Julian Hartwell? He exhaled sharply. Unfortunately, yes. Maya's stomach dropped so sharply she felt lightheaded. She couldn't believe it. She didn't even know billionaires walked places. They seemed like the type to float around on private jets in clouds of pure money. Asterisk, you work at Helios, Julian added suddenly, squinting at her tote bag where her employee badge peeked out. Reception. Floor 3. Maya's throat tightened. Yes. Before more words could pass between them, sirens wailed in the distance. Within moments, paramedics rushed over, lifting Julian carefully and confirming what Maya suspected, a likely fracture. They moved quickly, professionally, as they prepared to load him onto the stretcher. Julian gripped the edge of the gurney, his eyes locking onto Maya's. Could you come with me? He asked quietly. She blinked. Me. I don't. He winced as he shifted. Hospitals. I hate them. I don't want to be alone right now. Maya's heart twisted. The request hung in the cold air, heavy with vulnerability she would never have imagined from a billionaire CEO. And she knew if she went, she would be late. Very late, she swallowed. Please don't ask me this, she wanted to say. I'm already hanging by a thread. But she looked at his face. Really looked, a man used to control. Now helpless, alone, asking her of all people for comfort. And she couldn't walk away from that, okay? She said softly. I'll go with you, he exhaled, relief softening his features. The paramedics wheeled him toward the ambulance. As Maya climbed inside, she sent a fast, shaky text to her coworker Jamie. Emergency. I'm helping an injured person get to the hospital. Please tell Clara I'll be late, Jamie replied instantly. Oh no. Okay, but Clara's in a mood today. Brace yourself. Maya closed her eyes. The hospital was brightly lit, buzzing with chaotic calm. Nurses moved with purpose. Doctors hustled between rooms. Monitors beeped rhythmically. They whisked Julian away for x-rays while Maya waited alone in a plastic chair, her tote bag resting at her feet like a reminder of how much trouble she was in. She checked her phone. 8:29 a.m. Her shift started at 8:30. She swallowed hard. Her throat felt tight. At 9:04, a nurse approached her. He's ready for visitors. Maya followed her into a private room. Julian sat propped up in the bed, a temporary wrap around his leg. His suit jacket was hung neatly over a chair, though the rip in his sleeves still stood out. A reminder that billionaires bleed too. Asterisk, you stayed, he said. Sounding surprised? You asked me to, Maya? Replied softly. A beat passed. His expression softened. Thank you. He said it's a clean break. He continued. Cast for 6 weeks. No surgery. It's good, she said. He nodded, then winced when he shifted again. You should go. You've already missed most of your morning. Maya stiffened. Yeah, my boss is probably furious. Julian lifted an eyebrow. She wouldn't be if she had any sense. Maya tried to smile, but it felt tight. I hope your meeting goes okay, even if it's delayed, he exhaled. I'll manage. When she reached the door, he spoke again. What's your name? Maya, she said. He repeated it quietly. Thank you, Maya. By the time she reached Helios Technologies, her stomach was tied so tightly it hurt. The polished glass doors reflected her figures, small, tired, carrying a tote bag and anxiety like a second skin. Inside, the front reception desk was already manned by someone else. Her heart dropped. Before she could process that, her supervisor appeared. Striding through the lobby with the aggression of a drill sergeant, Clara. Benson's lips were pressed into a razor-thin line. My office now. Maya followed. Pulse pounding, the door closed sharply behind them. This is the 3rd time this month, Clara snapped, dropping a file onto the desk with theatrical annoyance. 3 late arrivals. Company policy is very clear. I had an emergency, Maya said quickly. There was an accident. I helped a man who I don't want excuses, Clara cut her off. Do you know how many people want your job? I'm trying my best, Maya said, voice shaking. I work hard. I never miss deadlines. You're unreliable, Clara said coldly. And single mothers always think rules don't apply to them. The words hit Maya like a slap. Her fingers curled into fists at her sides. That's not fair, she whispered. Fair or not, your employment is terminated effective immediately. Clara slid a paper toward her. Sign this. Your severance packet has already been processed. Maya's vision swam. She stared at the notice. The black letters blurring together, fired for. Being late because she helped a man who couldn't even stand. A man who turned out to be one of the most powerful people in the YYY. Entire city. She swallowed the thick knot stuck in her throat. Please, she said softly. I have a daughter. I need this job. Should have thought about that before choosing personal chaos over professionalism. Clara shot back. Maya's chest caved inward. Shame burned in her lungs. Slowly, she picked up the pen. She signed. Clearing out her desk felt surreal. It took less than 3 minutes. A framed photo of Lily smiling with her missing front teeth. A hand-drawn picture her daughter made of the 2 of them holding hands. A half-dead succulent she kept forgetting to water. 11 months of work. Reduced to what fit in her tote bag, she rode down the elevator with her head bowed. Each floor felt heavier. Outside, the sunlight felt wrong, too bright for the worst morning of her life. Her phone buzzed. It was Mrs. Green. How's your day going, dear? She asked. Maya's voice cracked. I got fired. Oh, sweetheart, Mrs. Green said, her voice thick with concern. What happened? There was an accident, Maya said quietly. I helped someone, and I was late, and that was enough. Mrs. Green tutted loudly. Then it was not the right place for you. You did the right thing. That matters more. Maya blinked through tears. I don't know what to do now. One step at a time, the older woman said. Come home to your daughter. We'll figure the rest out. Maya wiped her face with her sleeve. Okay, thank you. She hung up and lowered her head. She couldn't know not yet that inside another towering building across the city, Julian Hartwell, now in a wheelchair, with a fresh cast on his leg, was asking his assistant, find me the woman who helped me this morning. I want her full name, position, and supervisor. and when his assistant told him Maya had been fired for being late while helping him, a storm of fury lit Julian's eyes. He was a patient man when it came to business, but when it came to injustice, he became a hurricane. One headed straight for Helios Technologies, and for the woman who saved him. *A. Billionaire's fury Julian Hartwell had always been good at hiding pain. He had hidden it when he built his first company out of a cramped apartment with peeling wallpaper. He had hidden it when investors laughed at him, when competitors wrote him off, when his own board tried to push him aside. He had built his empire through silence, discipline, and a famously unreadable expression that made grown executives sweat through their suits. But today, he was terrible at hiding pain. Physical pain radiated up his right leg in sharp pulses. But it was nothing compared to the fury burning in his chest after hearing what happened to Maya. She was fired. Julian repeated, his voice dangerously calm. For helping an injured man? His assistant, Elias, swallowed. Yes, sir. According to HR records, Amir Reynolds was terminated at 9:17 a.m., reason listed as chronic tardiness and unreliability. Supervisor Clara Benson. Julian let out a low, humorless laugh. Unreliable. She held me upright until the paramedics arrived. She rode in the ambulance with me, so I wouldn't panic. That's more reliability than most executives I've hired, Leas continued cautiously. Helios has strict timing policies, especially on Clara Benson's team. Oh, I know Helios policies, Julian said sharply. I wrote half of them when I funded the initial expansion. He gripped the armrest of his wheelchair so tightly his knuckles turned white. Find me the Helios CEO, Julian ordered. Now, Elias blinked. Sir, you were the Helios majority shareholder. I said CEO, not owner, Julian snapped. Call Mitchell Grayson. Tell him I want him in my office in 20 minutes. But sir, your leg now, Julian said. In a tone that admitted no argument, Elias hurried out. Julian stared at the window. The morning sun glinted off skyscrapers. Each one a testament to ambition, innovation, and how far people would go to succeed. But none of that mattered to him right now. He saw one thing, and one thing only. A young woman who had chosen compassion over convenience. A young woman who had helped him without hesitation. A young woman who had lost her job because of it, and he would never allow injustice to stand. Not when he had the power to crush it. Helios fired the wrong person today. Helios CEO Mitchell Grayson walked into Julian's office looking like a man approaching a live bomb. His suit was flawless, his posture stiff, his face pulled into an expression of forced confidence. Julian Mitchell said with a tight smile, I heard about your accident. I hope the injury is manageable. Julian rolled his chair forward slightly. My leg is broken, but my patience is fully intact. Mitchell's smile faltered. Right, Elias said something about a terminated employee. Maya Reynolds, Julian said. He let the name hang in the air like a warning. Mitchell cleared his throat. Yes, I reviewed her file before coming. Chronic lateness. Inconsistent attendance. Several reprimands. Those reprimands were all from Clara Benson, Julian cut in. A woman who weaponizes company policy like a personal hobby. Clara is tough, yes, but Helios needs discipline. It keeps productivity high. Productivity. Julian raised an eyebrow. You want productivity? Then maybe don't fire the only receptionist who actually knows how to talk to people like humans. Mitchell swallowed. Julian continued, voice cold and precise. Maya was late today because she was helping me. I crashed on an electric scooter, long story, and she took charge. She could have walked away. Most people did walk away. Dozens. Mitchell's eyes widened as the pieces clicked. And you fired her, Julian finished. For showing humanity. Mitchell shifted uncomfortably. Julian, termination decisions are based on performance metrics. It's not sentiment, then your metrics are garbage, Julian snapped. Mitchell stiffened. I beg your pardon? I don't care how long Maya was late today. She saved me from lying alone on a sidewalk while half the city stepped over me. His voice grew sharper. She is exactly the type of person any company should keep. Loyal, compassionate, brave. Mitchell took a slow breath. I can reinstate her, if that's what you want. Reinstating her won't fix what you broke, Julian said. It won't erase the humiliation of being fired in front of her coworkers. It won't erase the fear she's feeling right now as a single mother who just lost her income.
Oh.
Mitchell blinked. You want more than reinstatement? I want a public apology. I want compensation. I want Clara Benson evaluated. And most importantly, Julian paused. I want Maya protected. Mitchell hesitated. Julian, are you sure this level of intervention is wise? She's just a receptionist. Julian's eyes went ice cold. Say that again, he said quietly. Mitchell swallowed hard. I didn't mean I'm only saying she is not just anything, Julian said. She is a human being who did more for me this morning than half the executives in your building have ever done, Mitchell realized. Too late that he had deeply miscalculated. Julian leaned forward. Fix this, he ordered. All of it. Or I will. Mitchell nodded quickly. Of course, I'll handle it. He turned to leave. And Mitchell. Julian added. Mitchell froze. If Clara Benson tries to retaliate against Maya in any way, she's gone. Indefinitely. Pale, he left the office. Julian exhaled slowly. Revenge wasn't his. Intention justice was, and he would not rest until he delivered it. Asterisk back in the apartment, Maya. Breaks the apartment was dim when Maya walked through the door. She let the tote bag slip from her shoulder, letting it fall to the floor with a dull thud. Her hands trembled as she closed the door behind her. Mommy? A small voice called. Lily appeared in the hallway, holding her stuffed penguin, Puddles. Her hair was in two messy pigtails from where she had slept on the couch. Maya forced a smile. Hey, baby, Lily frowned. You look sad. I'm just tired, Maya said. She dropped to her knees and hugged her daughter, tightly, maybe too tightly. Lily's small arms wrapped around her neck. Did your boss be mean again? Lily asked. Maya's breath hitched. Children saw everything. Even the things you tried to hide. Something like that. Maya whispered. They sat on the floor together for a moment. Maya closed her eyes, breathing in her daughter's familiar strawberry shampoo scent. It grounded her, steadied her, but the weight of reality crushed her again as soon as she opened her eyes. Rent was due in 2 weeks. Groceries were low. Her savings account barely had enough to last 10 days. She had lost her job. She had no backup, no safety net, no family to fall back on, just her and her daughter. In a world that didn't care, she got up reluctantly and went to the kitchen. She opened the fridge. Half a carton of milk. 3 eggs. A Tupperware with leftover rice. And ketchup. Her chest tightened painfully. She leaned on the counter, gripping the edge until her fingers turned white, and let the tears spill silently down her cheeks. The knock on the door, it came around for 15 p.m., not loud. Not aggressive, just a firm, steady knock. Maya wiped her eyes quickly. She wasn't expecting anyone. Mrs. Green never knocked. Jamie sometimes visited but always texted first. And her landlord only showed up when he wanted to yell about rent being a day late. Her heart squeezed uncomfortably. She approached the door slowly and looked through the peephole. Her breath caught, standing. In the hallway was a sharply dressed man in a dark suit, holding a leather folder. He didn't look like a landlord. He looked like someone who belonged in a boardroom. Maya opened the door a few inches. Yes, Ms. Reynolds, the man asked. My name is Daniel Price. I'm from Helios Technologies. He offered a polite smile. May I speak with you for a moment? Maya stiffened. Of all the things she expected today, someone from Helios showing up at her door was not one of them. She swallowed. If this is about my termination, it is, Daniel said gently, but not in the way you think. She hesitated. Lily peeked out from behind her leg. Is he a policeman? Daniel smiled kindly. No, sweetheart. Just someone who wants to help your mom. That made Maya even more suspicious. Come in, she said finally, cautiously. Daniel stepped inside and cleared his throat. Ms. Reynolds, I'm here on behalf of the executive office. Maya blinked. Executive. Office, why? Daniel opened the leather folder and handed her a letter. She unfolded it with shaking hands. Her eyes widened as she read, Dear Ms. Reynolds, earlier today, an unjust and improper termination occurred under the supervision of Clara Benson. This action does not reflect the values of Helios Technologies. Effective immediately, your termination has been reversed. Your position has been reinstated. Additionally, you are awarded 3 months paid leave. Maya looked up, stunned. What? Why is this happening? Daniel hesitated before answering. It's because of the man you helped today. Maya's heart thudded once. Hard, you mean? Julian. Daniel nodded. Mr. Hartwell personally requested your reinstatement. He was furious when he learned what happened. Maya stared. What? She whispered. Why would he do that? Because you helped him when you had nothing to gain, Daniel said simply. And he doesn't forget loyalty. Maya shook her head slowly. This is too much. There's more, Daniel added. She blinked. More. Daniel handed her a second envelope. She opened it, then gasped. It was a check for $20,000. Her knees went weak. She gripped the table. This must be a mistake. It's not, Daniel said softly. It's part of a compensation package for wrongful termination, Mr. Hartwell insisted. Tears filled her eyes again, but this time, not from despair, from shock. From relief so profound, she felt lightheaded. From disbelief that the universe could give her even one tiny break after so many years of struggle. I don't know what to say, she whispered. Daniel smiled. Just take care of yourself and your daughter. Mr. Hartwell said, that's all he wants. A tear slipped down Maya's cheek. She wiped it quickly. Thank you, she said softly. Daniel nodded and headed toward the door. But before he left, he paused. One more thing, he said. Mr. Hartwell asked me to tell you he'd like to see you. To thank you personally, Maya's heart skipped. What? When? I can arrange a time whenever you're available, Maya swallowed. She wasn't sure why her pulse suddenly fluttered. Maybe it was fear. Maybe gratitude. Maybe curiosity. Or maybe something else she wasn't ready to admit. I'll think about it, she said. Daniel nodded respectfully and left. The door clicked shut. Maya leaned against it, letting out a shaky breath as she clutched the letter to her chest. For the first time in months, maybe years, she allowed herself to feel something she had forgotten how to feel. Hope, meanwhile. Julian makes a decision. Julian sat alone in his penthouse later that evening, the city lights flickering against the tall window behind him. His crutches leaned nearby. His leg rested on a cushioned ottoman. He held a glass of water in his hand, but he wasn't drinking. He was thinking about Maya, the moment she knelt beside him. Her steady hands, her gentle voice, her quiet strength, and the look in her eyes when she told him. She'd go with him, no calculation, no hesitation, just kindness. People in his world didn't do things without agendas. Compassion was foreign currency, rare, nearly extinct. But she was different. He wanted to see her again, not as the CEO she helped, not as the billionaire who saved her job, but as a man who owed her more than gratitude, a man who felt something stir in his chest when she said her name, a man who wanted to understand her. Julian set his glass down and made a decision that surprised even him. He reached for his phone and typed a message to Daniel. Schedule a meeting with Ms. Reynolds. Private, informal. My home. Tomorrow at 3, he paused, then added, make sure she knows she can decline. No pressure. He set the phone aside. For the first time all day. He smiled. Asterisk, the invitation. Maya had spent the morning cleaning her apartment, trying to force normalcy into a world that felt anything but normal. Lily bounced around her small living room, a bundle of energy and laughter. Her stuffed animals in a chaotic parade across the floor. Maya kept glancing at the envelope. Julian Hartwell's assistant, Daniel Price, had left at her door yesterday. The check and the reinstatement letter sat neatly on the counter, a reminder of just how drastically her life had turned in 24 hours. Her mind kept circling back to the note. Daniel had left. Mr. Hartwell would like to meet you personally. Maya tried to dismiss it. It was absurd. Who did she think she was to meet a billionaire CEO? She didn't even belong in a building like Helios Technologies. And yet curiosity gnawed at her. A part of her wondered if he just wanted to apologize, or worse, humiliate her further. She wasn't sure which terrified her more. By 2:15 p.m. she had decided she would go, not because she wanted anything from him, but because she owed it to herself to confront the extraordinary situation she had stumbled into. Lily would stay with Mrs. Green, who had insisted on watching the girl while Maya attended this mysterious meeting. Her heart raced as she rode the elevator to Julian's penthouse, the city sprawling beneath her, each block and street reminding her of how small and overlooked she had often felt in her own life. First impressions, the penthouse was breathtaking. Floor-to-ceiling windows offered a panorama of the city. Sunlight bouncing off glass skyscrapers like 1,000 tiny stars. Everything smelled faintly of fresh leather and polished wood, a subtle, sophisticated scent Maya didn't recognize, but immediately associated with wealth and power. She stepped lightly, almost afraid to make a sound. Julian Hartwell himself emerged from a hallway, leaning slightly on his crutches, the cast on his right leg stark against his tailored gray slacks. He wore a soft cashmere sweater, casual yet commanding, and his piercing gray eyes locked onto hers instantly. "Ms. Reynolds," he said, voice steady but warm. "Thank you for coming." Maya forced a polite smile. "Of course. You requested I did," he interrupted gently. "But please, call me Julian. No formalities here." He gestured to a plush chair near the window. "Sit. Make yourself comfortable." Maya hesitated for only a moment before perching on the edge of the chair, clutching her purse like a lifeline. Julian lowered himself into the armchair opposite her, positioning his crutches and cast so that he could settle in without pain. For a moment, silence hung between them, broken only by the distant hum of city traffic far below. "I wanted to meet you because," Julian began slowly, "I need to understand why someone like you exists in a world that seems to reward selfishness and ambition more than kindness." "I don't understand." Julian's eyes softened. "I've met countless people in my life. Some brilliant, some ruthless, many ambitious, but very few who put someone else above themselves without a second thought. And yet you did it. You helped me. Complete stranger. No consideration for your own career or comfort. You didn't hesitate." Maya shifted in her chair. I couldn't leave you there. It wasn't a question of bravery or anything heroic. It was human. Anyone else would have done the same." Julian leaned back, a faint smile tugging at his lips. "Not anyone else. Believe me." Maya's throat tightened. She felt a swell of something she hadn't allowed herself to feel in months. Validation. For years she had been dismissed, overlooked, underestimated, not just in the workplace, but in life. She had been judged for being a single mother, for being late occasionally, for simply existing in a world that rarely paused to notice anyone who wasn't already at the top. And now, here was Julian Hartwell, the man whose presence commanded rooms, whose word could make or break companies acknowledging her. The turning point Julian set aside a leather-bound notebook and leaned forward, eyes unwavering. "Maya, I don't just want to thank you. I want to make sure what happened to you today never happens again." Maya frowned. "What do you mean?" "I mean," he said, "that you should never have to choose between being compassionate and keeping your job. That's absurd, and it's unacceptable." Maya shook her head. "I don't want anything from you, really. I just did what I had to do." Julian studied her carefully. "And that's precisely why I want to help you. Not because I expect loyalty, you already proved loyalty without expecting anything, but because people like you deserve to be recognized and protected. He paused, then reached into a side table and pulled out a small envelope, handing it to her. Maya hesitated, then took it. Inside were documents and offer letter from Helios Technologies, specifying a promotion, a salary increase, and a flexible schedule designed to accommodate her responsibilities as a mother. Maya's hand trembled. I can't accept this. I mean, this is too much. Julian's gaze held her. Accept it. Not for me. Not for your boss or your company. Accept it for yourself. For your daughter. For the years you've struggled quietly, making sure no one else felt the consequences of injustice. You deserve it. The words struck her like a lightning bolt. Her chest ached, and tears threatened. She wanted to refuse, but deep down, she knew this wasn't about charity. This was recognition, respect, validation of everything she had sacrificed, confronting Clara. Benson Maya returned to Helios Technologies the following morning, her mind still spinning from the meeting. She was nervous not for the promotion or salary increase, but for the confrontation she knew was inevitable. Clara Benson was waiting by the reception desk. Arms crossed, face drawn tight with suspicion. "Maya Reynolds," she said coldly, "you're here. I trust you've reconsidered?" Maya's eyes locked onto hers. "I'm here because I've been reinstated," she said quietly. "And because the CEO personally requested my return. Your actions yesterday were unacceptable." Clara's eyes widened slightly, but she recovered quickly. "I was just enforcing company policy. You know how important punctuality is?" Maya's voice grew firm. "I understand policies. What I don't understand is punishing someone for helping a person in need, especially someone you had no idea was Julian's name escaped her, though she didn't need to say it aloud for the weight of the truth to hang in the air. A human being who deserves compassion," she finished. Her voice was steady, stronger than she had expected. Clara's face went pale. A faint tremor ran through her jaw. She glanced around nervously, realizing for the first time that her authority had limits she had ignored at her peril. From across the room, HR staff watched in silent astonishment as Maya stood tall. The woman they had once seen as timid, now radiating quiet strength. "You will treat Ms. Reynolds with respect," Maya added, her voice calm but unwavering, "or I will make sure the proper channels are followed. This isn't just about MIST, about fairness, about dignity." The room fell silent. Clara Benson's mouth opened, closed, then opened again. Searching for words but finding none, Maya turned and walked toward her desk. The weight of the past 24 hours behind her like armor. Her coworkers stared, some in awe, some in disbelief. She ignored the whispers. She had already faced fear far greater than office gossip. The CEO returns later that week. Julian Hartwell himself visited Helios Technologies, not in a wheelchair, but on crutches, a temporary necessity he bore with grace. He moved through the office with quiet authority, his presence magnetic. Employees stepped aside instinctively, unsure whether to greet him or just watch silently. He found Maya at her desk. Typing quickly, her focus razor-sharp despite the undercurrent of tension in the office. She looked up, startled. "Julian," she said softly. "Hello, Maya," he replied, eyes bright. "I just wanted to see you in person to make sure you're settling back in comfortably." Maya forced a small smile. "I am, thank you." "I also wanted to see something for myself," Julian said, gesturing to the office around them. "I wanted to see if the woman who helped me had the respect she deserves." Maya blushed faintly. She wasn't used to praise, especially not from someone like Julian Hartwell. But there it was, acknowledgement of her worth, and recognition that her choices mattered. He leaned slightly on his crutches. "You've reminded me why I invest in people, not just ideas. People who have character, integrity, and the courage to do what's right. That's rare." Maya felt a lump rise in her throat. She had never thought of herself as remarkable, but his words, sincere and unwavering, forced her to see herself differently. Hope rekindled. The week continued. and Maya began to feel a sense of empowerment she hadn't felt in years. Her salary increase meant she could finally catch up on bills. The flexible schedule allowed her to spend mornings with Lily, helping her with schoolwork and ensuring her health needs were met. And Julian's personal acknowledgement reminded her that humanity, kindness, courage were never wasted even in a world that often felt cruel and unforgiving. Even Clara Benson appeared to change. If subtly, she no longer spoke sharply at Maya. Instead, she seemed wary, careful, as if realizing the woman she had tried to undermine now carried the weight of influence and respect. Maya walked through the office each day with quiet confidence. She noticed the looks of admiration and surprise from coworkers, and she felt a quiet joy in knowing that fairness had been restored. Justice, swift and deliberate, had arrived not as a grand spectacle, but as a recognition of truth. At home, Lily noticed the difference too. Her mother's smile was brighter, her laughter freer. They baked cookies together on weekends, read bedtime stories without the constant fear of financial strain, and for the first time in months, Maya allowed herself to dream a little. A storm brewing. Maya had returned to her routine. Balancing her work at Helios Technologies with life as a single mother, she woke early, prepared breakfast for Lily, and walked her to school, smiling despite the lingering anxiety that had haunted her for months. But beneath the surface, she sensed tension growing, a subtle undercurrent she couldn't quite name. It started with whispers. Whispers from coworkers who didn't know whether to congratulate her or feel threatened. Whispers from Clara Benson, whose composure was unshakable, but whose eyes betrayed a storm behind the mask. And whispers that reached even to the executive board. A ripple of gossip about the CEO's unusual involvement in her reinstatement. Maya had learned early on in life that perception mattered as much as reality. She had been judged for being a single mother, for being late occasionally, for daring to be herself. And now, she wondered if the system she had fought to navigate would bend once more under its own weight. She arrived at her desk that morning, stacking folders neatly, when Daniel Price appeared quietly at her side. "Ms. Reynolds," he said softly, "I think Julian wants to speak with you again. Privately. He insists it's urgent."
Yes.
Heart skipped. "Again, Okay, I'll meet him." Daniel nodded and walked away, leaving her to gather her thoughts. She tried to breathe slowly, steadying herself. The first meeting with Julian had been surreal enough. What could another one mean? Gratitude, mentorship, or something she wasn't expecting? The CEO's office, tensions rise. Julian's office felt different this time. There was a subtle energy, a crackling sense of anticipation that Maya couldn't quite place. He was standing near the window, one hand on his crutches, eyes focused on the skyline but clearly aware of her presence. "Maya," he said as she entered. "Thank you for coming." She nodded, stepping inside cautiously. "You wanted to see me?" He turned toward her, expression unreadable. "I want to discuss Clara Benson." Maya stiffened. Clara had been a thorn in her side since day one. Every reprimand, every cold look, every accusation about tardiness, it all came from her. The idea that Julian was personally addressing it sent a mixture of relief and apprehension through Maya. "What about her?" she asked. Julian's gaze hardened. "She tried to punish you for doing the right thing. That will not stand. I want her actions documented. I want a full review of her conduct. And if there is any hint of retaliation against you in the future, I will personally ensure she faces consequences." Maya blinked, taken aback. You would do that?" "I would," Julian said firmly. "You helped me when no one else would. That alone earns your protection. But your courage and integrity deserve recognition. That is why I insist on fairness." Maya felt warmth surge through her chest. Her world, which had seemed bleak and unforgiving, suddenly held a promise she hadn't dared to imagine. Clara's resistance word of Julian's intervention spread quickly through Helios Technologies. Clara Benson found herself on the defensive, her authority quietly undermined. She tried to rally her allies, using office politics to her advantage, but Julian's influence was too strong. Employees whispered about the unusual situation, about the CEO's direct involvement in a low-level employee's reinstatement. Clara called Maya into a small conference room, her tone icy. "Ms. Reynolds, I hope you understand that your elevation is unusual. It might raise concerns among the board." Maya met her gaze steadily. "I understand that. But I also understand that helping a human being in need is not a crime, and neither is doing the right thing." Clara's jaw tightened. "You think you're untouchable now?" Maya shook her head. "I don't think that at all. I just know that doing the right thing has consequences, sometimes good, sometimes bad. But I will not apologize for compassion." The room went silent. Clara stared, fury barely contained. She realized in that moment that the young woman she had dismissed as weak was not only resilient, but now had the backing of the most powerful person in the company. The balance of power had shifted. A mentor appears later that afternoon. Julian arranged for a private meeting with Maya once more. This time, it wasn't about protection or reinstatement. It was about mentorship. "Maya," he began, gesturing to a seat across from him, "I've been watching you. Not just today, but over the past week. The way you handle adversity, the way you maintain integrity despite pressure, it's rare. And it's valuable." Maya hesitated. "Valuable. I'm just surviving." Julian smiled. "Survival is admirable. But growth, influence, leadership, that's where true value lies. I want to offer you guidance. If you're willing, I can help you build a career here that matches your potential." Maya's eyes widened. You mean like mentorship? From the CEO of Helios?" "Yes," Julian said simply. "I believe in recognizing talent and fostering it. You've proven you have what it takes to handle responsibility and pressure with grace. I want to help you navigate the corporate world so that you never have to face unfair dismissal again." For the first time in her life, Maya allowed herself to imagine a future not defined by struggle, but by opportunity. She nodded slowly. I would like that. I really would." Julian's eyes softened. "Good. Let's start by setting some short-term goals. Leadership, communication, and strategic thinking. You'll see how small choices build influence. And remember, kindness is never a weakness. It is your greatest strength." Maya felt a spark of determination ignite within her. She would not let fear or doubt hold her back. Not anymore. The boardroom revelation the following week. Julian requested a board meeting to address the situation with Clara Benson and to recognize Maya's contributions. The tension in the room was palpable. Board members murmured among themselves, some skeptical, some intrigued. Clara sat stiffly at the end of the table, her usual confidence replaced by unease. Julian began the meeting. "Ladies and gentlemen, I want to discuss an important matter regarding company culture and integrity. This morning, Ms. Maya Reynolds was unjustly terminated for helping a person in need. I intervened personally because such actions punishing someone for compassion are unacceptable in this company." Murmurs filled the room. Julian continued, his voice unwavering. "Ms. Reynolds has demonstrated exceptional courage and integrity. These are qualities we should reward, not punish. Therefore, effective immediately, she will be reinstated, her role expanded. And she will receive mentorship opportunities directly under my guidance." The room went silent. Eyes shifted to Maya, who felt both fear and pride. She met Julian's gaze, seeing only respect and trust. Clara Benson's face went pale. This is highly irregular," she protested. Julian's gaze turned icy. "What is irregular is punishing employees for doing the right thing. Your conduct will be reviewed, and any attempt at retaliation will be met with immediate consequences." The tension was suffocating. For the first time, Clara understood that her position, which she had wielded like a weapon, had limits. The board members exchanged glances, some nodding subtly, acknowledging Julian's decisive action, an unexpected ally after the boardroom. One of Maya's colleagues, Samantha, approached her quietly. "Maya, I just want to say I'm sorry. I didn't speak up before, but I've seen how you handled everything. You're incredible." Maya smiled faintly. Thank you, Samantha. It hasn't been easy, but sometimes doing the right thing is worth it.
Oh,
Samantha nodded. If you ever need support, I'm here. We all are. Maya realized something profound. By standing up for herself, she had inspired others. She wasn't alone anymore. And in that realization, she found courage to face whatever challenges lay ahead. A private conversation later. As the office emptied, Julian called Maya into his office once again. You've handled yourself admirably, he said. Not just today, but in every interaction. Compassion, intelligence, courage, they're rare. Maya blushed, unsure how to respond. Julian leaned forward. I've seen many employees come and go. Few leave an impression. You, Maya, have left a lasting one. For the first time, Maya felt seen not just as an employee, not just as a single mother, but as a capable, resilient, remarkable person. She nodded, swallowing the lump in her throat. Thank you. I'll do my best. Julian's eyes softened. You already have. Now, let's make sure the world knows it. Hope rekindled. Maya returned home that evening to Lily's excited chatter. Mommy, guess what? Puddles and I built a castle today. Maya laughed genuinely for the first time in weeks. That's amazing, sweetie. I can't wait to see it. As they sat together, Maya reflected on the whirlwind of events: the accident, the ambulance, the firing, Julian's intervention, the boardroom confrontation. Each moment had tested her, challenged her, and ultimately revealed her strength. She realized something vital. Life would always have obstacles. People would judge, challenge, and underestimate her. But she also understood that courage, kindness, and resilience could turn the tide. And in that realization, she felt an unfamiliar, thrilling sensation: power, not wealth, not prestige, not titles, but the power to shape her own destiny. The power to stand tall, no matter who tried to knock her down. The power to teach Lily that integrity and compassion mattered more than anything else. Justice. Recognition and a new beginning. Maya arrived at Helios Technologies, her heart calm yet purposeful. The office hummed with quiet energy, whispers of the previous week's drama still lingering. Clara Benson's icy demeanor was gone, replaced with a cautious politeness. The balance had shifted, and everyone knew it. Julian Hartwell, in his usual poised presence, called Maya to his office. Maya, thank you for everything, he said. You reminded all of us that compassion is strength, that integrity matters more than politics. You deserve every opportunity that comes your way. Maya smiled, feeling a weight lift from her shoulders. She realized that her courage helping a stranger, despite personal risk, had not only restored justice for herself, but inspired others around her. Colleagues approached her throughout the day with nods of respect and quiet congratulations. Clara, Svensson avoided confrontation, realizing her attempts to undermine Maya were futile against someone who had proven both resilience and principle. Julian, true to his word, mentored Maya, opening doors she had never imagined, helping her build a career defined by respect, fairness, and accomplishment. At home that evening, Maya tucked Lily into bed. The little girl's smile was enough to remind her why every sacrifice mattered. Maya whispered, "We did the right thing, sweetie, and it was worth it." The next morning, she walked into the office with confidence, her presence commanding respect, not because of a title, because she had stood for what was right. And in the world of Helios Technologies, that made all the difference. Moral, kindness, courage, and integrity are never wasted. Stand up for what's right, and the world will eventually recognize your worth.